Joey Barton's name has been in the headlines for quite a bit now in the past month or so. All started with him going back a month or so ago with his comments about the women's game. He said quite a few things. I think started out with him saying that it was hard to it was hard for him, and he felt it was hard for a lot of men to be taking the women who are football pundits on the men's game. Finds it hard to take their views, opinions seriously. He also said some things about he felt a certain way about Mary Earps becoming the sports personality of the year. He's gone on a few different multiple rants on Twitter, or X as we call it now. And with this stuff with Joey Barton, I got a good few hundred views doing a video on Joey Barton a couple of days ago. It seemed to be a big, his name is really it's out there. And with this stuff, with Joey Barton, he's been having a go at Jeremy Vine. That all started. Jeremy Vine had invited him on his podcast. Not I say podcast, his TV show, the Jeremy Vine show. I've never bloody watched it, but he turned it down, but then he's been he's been antagonizing, he's been trolling Jeremy Vine. You got to be quite careful there when you're retweeting or even tweeting stuff yourself. When you're saying bike, NONCE, you got to watch there. And so now Jeremy Vine has threatened him with legal action. I said in my video before, it's one thing when Joey Barton was saying about, oh, lawyer up, go sue me. It's one thing, him saying that to your just a no-name Twitter troll. But I was pointing out in my video before, he has to be careful when you're going up against someone like Jeremy Vine. Jeremy Vine been around for a long time. He's very much a gatekeeper in the media world. Vine, along with Morgan, along these other fools, were very much pushing the you-know-what 3 years ago, saying that we should force people down to take it. And he could maybe claim, oh, he was just joking. He was just very strongly about a certain way about getting the JAB. But, with Vine, I have my own views on Barton, but Vine is just a total fool, a total idiot. And I don't buy his, his harmless oddball shtick. He seems to be a very, just like a real troubled guy, man. Not a guy you can trust. But the point with this video is for me is to pose the question: is Joey Barton for real? I've had a few doubts about Joey Barton, about how serious he is with his views on all this stuff. Joey Barton is kind of admitted in the past that a lot of the stuff that he will do is to troll. It's for his own amusement. But then there is a lot of times where he's very opinionated and he doesn't sugarcoat things. And then you think, well, this is just this is a guy just speaking his, quote unquote, speaking his truth. But with Joey Barton though, for a guy that seemed to be more left leaning, initially, where he's kind of seemed to, from my understanding, praise socialism, praise Marxism. Don't think he's went as far as praising communism. But then when all of a sudden he's saying things and he's saying, oh, commie fucks or whatever, talking about neo-Marxist agenda and stuff like that. And you could say his views have changed over time, though. Yeah, people can change, their views can change, they can evolve. But I just have some questions about Joey Barton. Could this just all be one big act? And is he just being used as a shell? Is this something just been all done to get us talking, to get us distracted? And I guess I'm caught up in it too because I'm making a video about him. But is he for real, though, with all this stuff? I don't know. I've said before, I think Barton believes a lot of what he's saying. But a lot of it, though, is just him shit talking. It's just trolling. I don't know necessarily if Barton has dirt on other female football pundits, presenters, what have you. The title on that video, does Joey Barton have dirt on other female football pundits, is shameless clickbait on my part, but it is what it is with this YouTube game. But I think he does believe a lot of what he says, but a lot of it is just a shtick now. It's because Barton now is out of work. He's no longer a football manager, but so he's now trying to find a new spot, a new place for him, to do something going forward, where I guess it could be something that very well, it's not just him giving his views on things in football and just the ways of the world in general. It's like he's making a living doing this. And I feel that Joey Barton, maybe he's trying to carve out a spot as somebody that's going to be a big time podcaster. He's going to be, I guess he'll be maybe seen as somebody who's in the truther movement. I don't know, but because you've already had Joey Barton go on the show that Pearl Davis has. I think Pearl Davis is just somebody that's just a bit of a shit disturber. I don't know if she fully believes a lot of what she says. But it was, to be fair, I watched a lot of the interview he did with her. It was a somewhat interesting conversation. He came off not too bad, to be fair. But she's seen as the female Andrew Tate or whatever, and I feel a certain way about him. But I don't know. I think for me, just look at Joey Barton's tweets though. Look at the structure. Look at the way it's all. He'll say something, then there's a space, then there's another space. And it's all just these things of push, you've got, getting the point, how you get your point across. And if you look at a lot of these accounts on Twitter or on X, look at a lot of these people that are I guess in the truther movement, most of them more to the right wing. It always seems to be the same thing. There's always they say something, full stop, then there's a space, then there's another space, then there's something with a question. And it's very similar to how people I'll throw a couple of names out there, how Lawrence Fox tweets, how I believe Calvin Robinson tweets. Just a lot of these people, these big Twitter accounts, 100,000 plus subscribers, how they, followers, how, they tweet. So I do have a weird thing about me. Is Barton being used here as a shill? Does Barton even believe half of what he's spouting? It's interesting, Joey Barton goes in Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan is oh so big with the bloody views that he gets on Talk TV. This guy he lost all credibility a long time ago, Piers Morgan. It's pathetic, really, but again, he's had a name and he was in that world and he can get big names and attract them to his show. It is what it is with Morgan. But the thing that was a bit weird was that, Joey Barton turns down GBUs, right? There was a tweet out there that he turned them down through his agent, I believe, some guy Eddie, or his manager, whatever. He turns GBUs down, but then he goes on bloody Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, who was talking about how footballers, remember this now, how when footballers were down when they were injured during the pandemic, that if they hadn't taken the JAB, they shouldn't get medical treatment. Remember what Piers Morgan had said back then. Remember how cold and callous and despicable some of the things that he was saying about people that didn't buy into all this COVID nonsense. Remember that. And he specifically said something, it was in relation to with footballers. Joey Barton's, he was a footballer for what was it for a living, 15 so years? So why the hell, Barton must have been clued up and aware of what Morgan had said, surely, right? Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Joey Barton was probably out of the social media radar for a while when he was, a football manager. He wasn't doing his Twitter rants when he was a football manager, and he had all those responsibilities that comes with, being a football, a manager for a football team. But that seems a bit odd though, that he turns down GBUs, but then he goes to bloody Morgan. That's a little odd, because even if you feel a certain way, you're maybe more left leaning, but you happen to hold some views that are more right wing. Why not go on GBUs? Why not engage with the people on there? They'll give you a platform, they'll hear you out. But why go with Morgan that Morgan's going to give you a hard time? Morgan's going to come off a bit of a dick, and he's going to try and belittle your views and opinions, but you'll be heard. They will hear you out on GBUs. Some of the presenters can come off a bit, fake and disingenuous, but I'm sure that, they would still have enough courtesy to hear you out and would probably agree with what you're saying. So that's odd, the whole thing there, that he didn't want to do GBUs, but then, he did Morgan. Very strange. But that's just a big question to me, is he for real? Is it all this stuff he's been tweeting for real? Or is he just a shell? Is all this just a bullshit, one big con, and a big distraction to, distract us from maybe a lot of other serious things that are, going on right now? I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just me being conspiracy theorist. I don't know. It's been a big thing the past week or so about all this thing with the submasters, but hopefully, for the submasters, there'll be some true, justice there for them, and they'll be compensated. But again, there might be an agenda behind that, even that there's a big distraction with all that coming out. I don't know. But anyway, those are my thoughts, though, guys. So let me know what you think, though. Is Joey Barton for real? Do you buy into what he's saying? Or is all mostly this just shtick with Barton? But thanks a lot, though, guys. See ya.